Most people who cook steaks at home will tell you the only way to get a good sear is with a cast iron pan. But in the last couple decades, cast iron has reclaimed its throne as the king of all cookware in America. One of the fun parts about cast iron is you can find an old rusty pan and nurse it back to health, or buy a new one made by hand by a boutique metalworker. However, the most popular cast iron pans are made by Lodge Cast Iron, where the family-owned business has been doing it since the 1800s. They're available everywhere, they're ultra affordable, and they do everything you'd want a pan to do. So today, I'm in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee at the Lodge factory to see how their process has evolved over time and how they create one of the most consistent and widely loved products in American history.
Welcome to Dan Does.
The three components of a Lodge cast iron pan are pig iron for heat retention, steel for malleability, and finally scraps and reject pans from all around the rest of the factory.
The iron comes in and flows out to the pan. These are called...
That's pretty loud. Part of the fun.
What's that?
Part of the fun.
Yeah.
This is the rejects.
It is.
At any point, if someone doesn't like what they're working on,
Correct.
or there's extra scrap, they send through here.
If a pan doesn't pour right, it's immediately rejected and thrown in. And then if one of our employees sees a defect on the pan anywhere and doesn't like the look or feel of it, they'll throw it back in for remelt so that we don't waste anything.
Oh, it's happening. This guy must be so good at that claw game. Everyone makes that joke.
So that hopper will move it into the furnaces to be melted.
So here, this is what's been filled with all our raw material.
It gets shaken through that chute and dropped into this container that'll move it. So that's how we get everything into the furnace itself.
From here, the mix of metals is brought up to 2,800 degrees Fahrenheit, and then it is slagged or has its impurities removed for the first of 2 times.
And then all the impurities in the iron, the rust that you saw, the sand and everything, is floated to the top now. So the robot is actually going in there and clamping it and bringing it out and pulling it out so it doesn't go in the iron.
From here, the molten metal is poured into what is essentially a giant ladle, which will be used to transport it to the next stage of the process.
All the sparks that you see flying, we call yellow jackets.
Right.
They sting when they hit you. So hence the protective clothing.
I would have thought they did more than sting.
Yeah, they do. But some of the old timers used to say if you licked your fingers, you could run your finger through the molten metal.
Now the ladle moves from the melting to the molding section of the factory, where it is slagged again before it gets poured into molds made of sand.
We've seen the melting, and now we're going to pour into our molds. And our molds have to be able to hold 2,500 degree molten iron.
Right.
So you just can't use anything. So we actually use sand. Sand just like you would see on a beach somewhere. But you know, sand melts above 3,000 degrees, 3,100 to make glass. Well, since we're pouring 2,500 degree, we don't hurt the sand, and we continually can reuse it over and over again.
Part of the thing is you guys move through a lot of sand that's constantly being molded and then remolded, right?
Right, we're constantly remolding that sand. We add a certain amount of new sand to replenish the amount that we lose on the castings when we clean them.
Right. I feel like people wouldn't know that a huge component of the cast iron game is sand.
Yeah, just like they play at the beach. We have a finer sand than traditional foundries run. Our sand is made specifically for our castings.
Let's get up there and check the sand.
Sure, let's go. So we've mixed all the sand up where we've added the clay and the water, and we brought it and mixed it up, and now it's coming, and this belt then distributes it to our 2 diesels. So here's some sand. So the sand is really, it's soft and fluffy, you can hold it. But when you squeeze it,
oh my God, yeah, like a really good snowball.
So the sand comes in yellow, just like you would see, but after we poured iron in it and the clay level is burned up and things like that, it turns black.
So the way this works is these come down to stop the sand from rolling through and sends it down to one of the lines.
Feeds whichever line's calling for sand at that time.
And if it doesn't go through either, it just gets sent back and back around?
Both systems are full, the belt will stop and we won't send any sand out.
The sand now falls down one of 2 chutes before being formed into a mold and then filled with the molten metal from before.
Okay, so we've seen the sand come down. So this fancy machine is creating our sand molds?
Yes.
So how does this work?
We got a tool that's on this side of the machine called the ram. We got a tool that's on this side of the machine called the swing. They face each other inside that chamber. We blow the sand and squeeze it. We pull that pattern out of the way. It's on the swing, so it swings out of the way. There's an impression on that side of the mold. He pushes it all the way out, retracts the ram. Now that impression's on that side of the mold. We make another mold. The front of this mold now matches up to the back of the other mold. And then we just continually do that. That's one half. They match up. You can see the gating going across and how all that, anything that's a void or a shape in here is a void in the mold, and that's where the iron fills it up.
So one mold does not get you a pan. You need the mold and the previous mold.
Yes.
Or the mold and the next mold.
Yes. On this type of molding unit, yes. So we're running the 8SK, which has a logo on it right now, which is our 10 1/4, which has the deer logo on it.
Is this hot?
No, but it's hard. Remember how soft that sand was I showed you? Go ahead and push your finger in there. It's very, very dense. That's what allows Lodge Manufacturing to make our castings the same every day.
Now it's time for the sand molds to be filled with the molten metal mixture that we saw earlier.
So it's like no pan, pan.
That's right. And about 10 molds down from there, if we wanted to, we could knock the sand out and that casting would be solid.
Do you love this part?
There isn't a part of the foundry I don't love. I don't like inventory. How's that? I don't like inventory. No. But if you think about what we're doing here, we're taking these raw materials that were nothing when they came into Lodge. In a matter of a couple hours, we're making a brand new product that someone is going to take out of the box and cook a meal in for their family that night. So this is where they dump, right here. They dump off the line here, they go in this shaker pan. They break up a little bit in there, and they go into this big Gideon drum. So right now, all these castings now are coming up the line, and our folks up here know what castings need to go through which production line.
Okay.
So they're up here separating the gating from the castings, putting the proper castings on the cleaning machines, and the other ones are sending down to the other cleaning machines. At Lodge, this is one of our more difficult roles right here. It's not so much the physical part of it, but it's the heat.
After workers pick through and place pans on their respective cleaning lines, any castings, scraps, or pans that haven't made the cut for any reason are sent back through the factory to the original scrap heap where they will be melted and then used in the recipe for future products.
These are motors that are spinning impellers, and we're shooting this shot.
Oh, it's like a pellet gun.
Yeah. So these are the dirty castings that were going in to the cleaning machine, and you can see there's still quite a bit of sand on them. This is how they come out.
Is it still hot?
Yeah, they're warm.
You know what they say about cast iron, right? It holds its heat.
It does for a long time.
And that's from the pelleting?
Yeah, that is from the blasting that we just did.
The pans are now washed in an aggressive bath of soap, water, and steel beads before being sent off to the seasoning part of the operation.
These feel pretty heavy, don't they?
Yeah.
They don't damage it?
No, it actually does a little burnishing. When you grind on the edge, you create just a little bit of a sharp edge. This will take it off.
All right, so I can start to smell some oil.
Yeah, we're right at the beginning of our seasoning process now.
So these pans are done, right? Like you could sell this pan, it would just be unseasoned.
Correct. And before our seasoning process, that's how we sold them, but we used to dip them in a wax. And then the consumer had to go home, take the wax off, coat it in oil, put it through their oven, and season it themselves. So now we've applied the oil, it's just a soybean oil, and you can see that they're all sprayed evenly.
So from here, they're getting heat up?
Yeah, we're gonna go up in this oven, run them in there about 15 minutes at a really high temperature. So this is what I was talking about before, about our spot seasoning, that drip. And if you look close, you can see the drips hanging right there. Yeah, go on up.
Oh, no way.
Drip.
Yeah. Just right here, just look over your empire. What does it feel like to look at everything going on out here, though?
You take a look at all these castings that are coming down the line. You know, we're not making them for cars. You know, we're not making parts for who knows what.
Right.
And we're making cookware for people to use. That's what drives a lot of us here. When you first come to work, you don't realize that. But after you've been here a little while and you understand what we feel every time we make a casting, and you think about the next person who's going to touch this is someone and their family, or some individual is going to take this and make something with it.
Is that enough poetry?
Oh, I'm not done yet.
So this is another pile of rejects here.
So these are ones that our takeoff line people inspect. They're the final inspection before we put them in a box.
Okay.
So this casting is scrap. We will not sell this as a first quality casting.
I mean, I have no idea, but it seems like at least 10 or 15%.
You're close.
Don't
You're
make
close.
it.
It's a little less, and that's overall. This job, this 8 skillet, we're probably, I don't know, 3 to 5. But then we have some other ones that are a lot higher, but we average out at less than 10. You wanna label something?
I'll label something.
Oh man, you ain't trained.
I'm making his life more difficult
No, you're
right
not.
now.
No, you're not.
Can I put one more on here?
Nope, nope.
3 to a side.
It's tough.
I can
I'm
dance.
Amazed. I'm amazed every single day. Now he has a little advantage in you because he's looking ahead. So he's inspecting the backside as they're coming down the line. If you watch him, he's looking.
I don't have his wherewithal yet.
No.
I think I'm losing my cool here already. Okay, push him down. I feel like you have to have 9 arms.
Should we bring him on board? We're gonna bring him on board. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Larry. Each aspect of the job is actually like its own level of hard. All right, so we've loaded up the pallets, and then now we're gonna send them to the Monster Distribution Center.
Yeah, we have a distribution center just off site here where we do direct to consumer. We pick orders specifically for customers, or sometimes they're full pallets, and they just load them there for us. This is our distribution center. Everything that we make in the factory comes here.
This is insanely huge.
It's 212,000 square foot, 22 docks.
It must feel kind of special seeing this monster NFL stadium size warehouse coming from what you guys do over at the other shop.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of all the people that were here before us that are here now. I think you and I spoke a little bit about that. Their contribution to get Lodge to where it is right now is amazing when you think about it. And, everybody who's been here over the years, and you saw the pictures in there, those 25-year club people. Some of them are 30, 35 years they've been here. And all this is because of everything they did through their careers. And to sit here and look at this, what we ship out daily, what we ship out weekly, monthly, to our customers, to our fans, if you think about all the people, all those molding, back in the day we did it by hand. That's what is amazing to me. And all their efforts got us to here where we're at now. It's crazy. I walk through here and I look at all these aisles and how many people have touched those castings is pretty cool.
Well, thank you so much for having us here today.
Man, I enjoyed every minute of it. I wish we had more people come through to really understand and appreciate what it takes to make a skillet and then make a meal in that same skillet is cool.
Be careful what you ask for. If enough people see this video, you're gonna have a tour every day.
Well, I don't know about every day, but